Not sure what happened, but the first presentation stopped recording, so here's second part. So Article 4, so when you have a Roman numeral 1 with a V, that means 4. This says that the states must honor the laws of other states. So if you get married and have a Minnesota marriage license, other states must also honor those types of laws. Article 5 is important because anytime we want to change this document, they couldn't do this under the Articles of Confederation. The new Constitution outlines how they can change or make amendments. So in order for this to happen, 3/4 of the states must approve any amendment or proposed change to the Constitution. The House of Representatives or the Senate can bring this up. So that would mean 38 states out of the 50 must approve any amendment for it to pass. Since 1789, there's been 27 changes. That's it. 27 times these rules for our government have only had to been changed. Just think about all the different times you change how you do things, how you take notes, maybe the rules for curfew or something like that. Our rules that guide our government have been in effect since 1789. Only 27 changes, and the first 10 happened right away with the Bill of Rights in 1791. Pretty cool. All right, next one. Article 6 is the Supremacy Clause. This is part of that idea of federalism, saying that the two levels of government, federal government and state government, that the federal government is the supreme law of the land. Laws of the U.S. government, laws made in Washington, D.C., are above a law that a state will make. This is something that still causes a lot of issues. This is sometimes somebody in a state might say, I think we know what the people of our state need more than the people in Washington, D.C., but then it comes back to that's why we have representative government. We elect people to our Senate and the House of Representatives so that they can represent our wants. Article 7 really isn't that important anymore. It simply outlined that as soon as 9 of the states approved the new Constitution, that it would go into effect and that the Articles of Confederation would be scrapped. There are 3 main principles that limit our government's power in the Constitution. The first one, which is a vocab term, is federalism. This is part of that idea that we have 2 levels of government, national level and state level. So we divide those powers. Anything that specifically is written in the Constitution, it says what the federal government can do and what the state government has the right to do, though that is written. Anything that it doesn't say, that gives the states the right to do anything. Those are, so it says reserved powers are powers that the Constitution neither gives to Congress nor denies to the state. So anything not written, then the states can make those laws. The idea is that if the federal government makes a law, the state can't go against it. If they do, they lose funding. So if there is a federal interstate highway speed limit of 75 miles an hour and a state wants their speed limit to be 85 miles an hour, then they would lose money that the federal government would give them for that. So the idea is if you don't follow the law, you lose money. A second main principle that limits the government's power, so the idea is we don't want our government to have all the power. We want the people to have somewhat of a say, but we also have this idea that's called separation of powers. The idea that we're dividing and giving different power to the different branches. So we have powers that are given to the legislative branch, which then is divided into 2, and we choose the people to represent us. We have powers that are given to the executive branch, which it's the president with the help of the vice president and the cabinet. And then we also have things that the Supreme Court or the judicial branch can do. The idea is we didn't want to have a person become all powerful or abuse their power. So separation of powers. The third principle of our government that limits the power is the idea that we can check each other. There are things built in that can check the other power. So it gives each branch the power of the other branches. For instance, that whole impeachment. The House of Representatives can charge the president with a crime. That doesn't mean he automatically is removed from office. He has to then stand trial. That trial is done in the Senate. And the judicial branch or the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would be the judge in that trial. So all branches are included in that. Same thing. If the legislative branch wants a bill to become a law, it goes to the president. If the president vetoes it, it doesn't mean they're out of luck. They can then get 66% or a 2/3 vote to override it. If somebody thinks it's unconstitutional or that they out of stepped the rules of the Constitution, the judicial branch can interpret it and decide if it's constitutional or not. As far as the president being impeached, this has never occurred in U.S. history. Before it could happen, President Nixon resigned from office before he would have been impeached. Another thing that has the checks and balances, just something that, an additional thing, but that's the same as the other one. And that is it for your notes. We will talk about the Bill of Rights tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. All right, gotta stop this.